Yeah, I think the big thing that to me is like the overall overarching takeaway from all of this so far. There's obviously little things in the details and lots of questions about how this is going to play out. But to your point, big thing is how does this all sort of fit in with where power is really organized, and that is media, which then fuels it. And much of what Trump is saying actually comes from the right-wing media. There's this feedback loop. And so he is really just echoing and reflecting back out there the types of conspiracies that have been percolating in the fever swamps, in QAnon, in talk radio, on Fox News. None of the things that he is saying is new to Trump. In fact, he's not echoing any of the defenses that right-wing media had gave leading up to this. He's just laying out the big picture attacks on the infrastructure, on the institutions. At its core, it's essentially a conspiratorial mindset. And what he is putting, if you add it all up, he is pushing a conspiratorial mindset. That is now, and that has been the primary defense of Trump in the last couple of days. So there's that feedback loop in action. And to me, where this goes, and this is the danger, is that, yeah, there's lots of questions about how this benefits Trump one way or the other in the long run. Maybe it'll hurt him, maybe not. But one thing is certain. If you have the right-wing media pushing and advocating and advancing a conspiratorial mindset and validating, and even his critics in the right-wing media pushing that, like Ben Shapiro, that will benefit Trump in the long run, one way or the other, because that is fundamentally what he builds so much of his power and his narrative on. And the danger is that when you organize and build power increasingly on what is considered or used to be considered the fringes, those individuals are, one, more likely to act. It's much more volatile. It's much hotter. It burns hotter. And they have much more of an ends justify the means mentality. So what you have basically is a bunch of kindling, and his latest attacks that will now be reverberated through the right-wing media is like throwing a match on top of it.
Well, and let's put a pin in that, because I want to come back to some of the calls to action we've seen from the former president. But Matt, it strikes me that it's not just Trump, and it's not just the right-wing echo chamber. It is also sitting members of Congress. It is people who aspire, like Trump himself, to be the commander-in-chief of this nation, repeating these conspiracies. That is just as dangerous.
Well, you know, I've been thinking about this for the last 24 or 48 hours. To me, the Republican Party today is divided into three segments right now, and it's reflected in the elected officials in Washington. There's the sort of cultist / conspiratory people who are totally backing Trump, creating whatever smokescreen they can on it, defending him at all costs, because part of what they're doing that is they want to retain power. And I think that's Kevin McCarthy, is just stay in the cult, do whatever you take. Then there's this tiny group, which I'll call the constitutionalists in the Republican Party, and Asa Hutchinson and Chris Christie and Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney, who are basically stand by the Constitution, saying Donald Trump isn't fit for office. It's a small, very small group. The largest segment of the Republican Party today, in my view, as I've watched this unfold, is what I would call the Sergeant Schultz coalition. And the Sergeant Schultz is from Hogan's Heroes. And Sergeant Schultz would be known from saying, I see nothing, I know nothing, I hear nothing. And they basically put their fingers in their ears, close their eyes, and don't want to have anything to do with this at all, and let Donald Trump say whatever he wants to say, and they won't say anything. Obviously, complete lack of courage, but that's the way it breaks down. But the problem is the smallest segment in the Republican Party today is the group of elected officials, and it's reflected into a very small group of voters that stands by the Constitution, is willing to call Donald Trump out and say he isn't fit for office. And that's why Donald Trump, in my view, is still the dominant presence and will remain the dominant presence of the party, because what his views represent is the majority of the Republican Party.